Hello again, and welcome back to the back garden. Uh, Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and jump straight in today because we've got one that I know a few people have asked about. We've got ribs. And you will see right away, I've got two different kinds of ribs here. I have a rack of pork ribs, and I've got a singular beef short rib. Now, I'm going to cook both of those today, and I'm going to actually cook them the exact same way, but they're going to turn out and be very different things. Obviously, pork ribs is what most people are probably more familiar with. You go out to a barbecue restaurant, you get a rack of ribs. That's going to be your pork ribs, your baby backs. There's actually a couple different kinds depending on what end of the rib you're looking at and all of that, but that doesn't really matter. Pork ribs, beef ribs. Now then, how are we going to do that today? I'm going to make us a bit of a wet rub that's going to go into a mop sauce. So, what do? Need a bowl to start with. Need some barbecue sauce. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about barbecue sauce here for a second because there are aisles of this stuff. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brands of barbecue sauce. Could I make my own? Yes. Some onions, some tomatoes, some molasses, brown sugar, salt, a few other things, vinegar, depending on what kind of a base you want. I could make my own, but there's really good sauces on the market out there, so why make my own? Now, what I've got here, I mean, this is Jack Daniel's sauce, good stuff. I love it. Not sponsored, but I wish I was. But there's not a lot left in this bottle. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this bottle to mix up the sauce I'm going to be using today. Because, yes, I am using a bottle barbecue sauce, but I'm not just going to use a bottle of sauce. So, I've got some Coke, and again, we're adding caramelization, we're adding sugars, we're adding sweetness, we're adding carbonization, which is going to help everything kind of bubble and mix together in that bottle. So we're going to add a bit of that in there. We're going to add some Worcestershire sauce. Now I found with this one, splash some of it in there. If I could get it over here, and I can sometimes, but I'm out of it at the moment, I might even throw in a bit of extra liquid smoke, which is always nice to have in some hot sauce, in some barbecue sauce. Well, hot sauce as well. But speaking of, some Tabasco is going to go right in that bottle too, and just splashing some of it in there. Now I know that some of you will say, "Oh, well, I don't like hot sauce." I'd still recommend having some of this, even if you go for some of the green, some of the milder Tabasco, just because splashing a bit of it in there, it's not necessarily going to make it hot at the end, but what it's going to do is it's going to add that flavor, that extra hit. We're also going to add some honey in there. All right. Now then, be careful with this next bit. We did just add Coke to this bottle, but now we're going to mix it all up. And turn it over a bit, splash it around. Yeah, that Coke is going to fizz up a bit, so be careful with opening the lid. But we want to get all that nice and mixed up. And you'll hear it's a lot more liquid than barbecue sauce normally would be. That's because we're not using this as a traditional condiment. We're using it as a cooking agent. Now then, I'll go ahead and show you. Like I said, it's quite liquid, quite runny. Bottle's used up. we've got our sauce ready to go. I'll go ahead and change the camera angle and be right back with you. Alright, we've got our ribs here, we've got them ready. Now you will notice that I've cut this rack of ribs. Only reason I've done that is I am going to be using the Ninja today for cooking. It's just that much quicker, and I'm waiting on a box of coal to arrive for my big grill. And that's just for how it fits on the grill. No significance whatsoever to that other than just making space. Now then, what we're going to do, we're going to take this sauce that we've just made up, and we're going to take our mop, and I discussed this in a video before, and we're just going to go ahead and coat these ribs. Now some people will do a dry rub and then a coat. Sometimes I do that even. It's all adding layers of flavor. Wouldn't say it's a bad thing to do necessarily, but since I've showed you a dry rub in a couple videos previous, I figured I'd do this one just with a wet rub and let you see how that turns out. So what I'm doing is I'm just giving them a nice bath in that sauce. Flip them over, hit the other side as well. All right, and we're going to take those and we're going to grab just some black pepper and we're going to throw a bit of that on top. Again, just that extra layer of flavor to them. Now I'm going to do the same thing with a bit of salt. Get some of this sauce off my hands. Your hands will get dirty while you're doing this. That's just going to happen. And I'll see you at the grill. Alright, we are at the grill. We're going to go ahead and throw these guys on. And you will notice I did go ahead and heat up the grill before throwing these guys on there. We'll check back with them in about an hour. Alright, it's been just a bit more than an hour. Let's go check some ribs. Alright, here we go. And those are looking really nice already. Probably won't need but another half hour. We're going to go ahead though and give them another coating of sauce. Good painting on. And then I'm actually going to turn the temperature down on the grill just a little bit and leave them for another 20-30 minutes. check on. See you then. Alright, we are back. We're going to go ahead and get these ribs off the grill and see how they've turned out. It's just falling off the bone, look at that. There we go. See you at the table. Alright, we are back at the table and it's time to cut into some ribs. Alright, first thing we're going to do is have a look at that beef rib. Now then, I mentioned at the grill that it was pretty much just falling off the bone. You can see there, I'm not cutting it, it's just pulling away dead easy. If we cut into the middle of that, now then, that beef rib is going to be tender and very juicy. Look at that. It's also still very hot. Don't forget that bit. Now then, let's see how these other ones turned out. And if they've turned out well, yeah, there you go. Who needs a knife? Soft, pulls right off the bone. Easy as can be. That's off screen, I know, but they've come out tasting juicy and gorgeous. I'm kind of glad licking my fingers is off screen, but with ribs that's kind of a requirement. So there you have it. Wet sauce ribs 2 ways in just a couple hours with the Ninja wood smoke. Now, I will say before I go, there we go. I will say before I go, no reason you can't do these on a charcoal side smoker, or a wood pellet smoker, or whatever other kind of smoker you want to use. It's going to take a little bit longer. I'd probably leave ribs 4 or 5 hours on a traditional one, just because you're not going to get that contained temperature. But other than that, and the fact that you'll need to mop it a couple extra times, just keep it moist every hour or so, it's the exact same process. Nothing changes. Now then, I know I've had a couple comments and questions about some specific things regarding steaks, regarding charcoal, regarding setting up the grill. So I'm going to try to get to those in the next few days. But until then, have a good day and see ya.